Okay, so this is a steps 2 and step 3 combined video in our example of georeferencing historical air photos, practical application 2 of chapter 1 of the Advanced GIS textbook. And so basically, what we're going to do here is load TIFF into the GIS software, which is a very quick thing, and then think about how to where that is in space, since it doesn't have a coordinate system, how to apply an appropriate coordinate system and select a base map that we can georeference to before we start our georeferencing, which will be the step 4 video and a separate video. So to load any image file, it's very easy in the GIS, ArcGIS Pro software. You can just drag images like TIFFs into your software. That's one way to load them. We can see that it showed up here in their drawing order. I could have also gone add data and browsed to that image, or I could have navigated it through a folder and added it to the map. So there are lots of ways to do that. And it is in here, even though it doesn't appear on our map. Usually when you add a georeferenced raster, it would just show up and zoom to that area on your map. So where is that file? If it's not georeferenced, it actually shows up basically at the origin of your coordinate system. And right now, my map is set to a geographic coordinate system, so it'll show up at 0 latitude and longitude. So if I say zoom to layer, takes me off in the ocean somewhere. And if I just zoom way out, we'll see that I'm south of Ghana in the Gulf of Guinea at the origin of my coordinate system. Okay, so what would be a good coordinate system to reference to would be a local coordinate system like UTM coordinates here for Utah. So if I go to the map properties, I can set my coordinate system. Right now it's in that web Mercator, and I could change it to instead a projected coordinate system. Like I said, UTM for North America, NAT 83 2011, Zone 12 North is a good choice. I'd like to add to favorites because basically this covers all of Utah. If you could look up the spatial extent of that zone. And so it's a common coordinate system that I'll use. It's in meters. And we want, when we're georeferencing, to be able to understand how far off our coordinate points or our control points are in linear units of feet or meters. And so a local coordinate system, Cartesian coordinate system, that's not in degrees is going to be a good choice. So I'm going to say OK. Okay, so now here I am with easting and northing at the bottom. Here's the state of Utah. Now where is that image that I've loaded? If I go to zoom to layer, it's again in the ocean. If I zoom out, we're going to see it's in a different location. It's actually due south near the equator of Utah. And that's because UTM zones are basically set up at the center, in this case, of the state. But their origins are so far away that you could never get a negative value, right? And so it's sitting there at the origin. Okay, so we need to correct that, and we need to georeference it to this area that we live in near Orem, Utah. And so that's right here. But the other thing I wanted to show in this video is, we don't really want to georeference to a kind of cartoon map like this. Since we're using imagery, we would want to compare maybe to that historical imagery to modern imagery and find like points that we can use as controls to bring that historical imagery into this UTM coordinate system. And so we can change the base map here from the world topographic map, which is loaded. to either Imagery or Imagery Hybrid. If you need some kind of street names to help guide you, you could use Imagery Hybrid. I'm familiar enough that I don't need to, so I'll just use this Imagery one. And so I'm going to use the image here to bring in this other image to the space and do the georeferencing. Before we do that, I'll just show you a quick trick before this video ends. The cool thing here is we've got this kind of back and forth button here. So we have zoomed, we've pulled up our base map that we want to reference to, and we can then right click and say zoom to layer on the other image. And if I press this back button, let me now go back and forth to compare what we've got. And so when you're trying to find what it is you have in this image that you have in the other image, that is going to be super helpful. Okay. And I'll show you more in the next video. So that was steps 2 and 3. Load imagery to the GIS software. You select an appropriate coordinate system and an appropriate base map to georeference to. The next video will be step 4, where we'll conduct our georeferencing.